This is the Louis T. Network.
In the Lab Room.
Welcome, you are in the Lab Room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 12 in the books, on to week 13. Whoa! Man, it's Tuesday. And there's a lot of things that happened over the weekend that have impacted this playoff race. And I'm going to do some videos here shortly on the playoff race and what these divisions look like and how they're going to shape up. And ultimately, in both conferences, I think we already know 5 teams in both conferences. All right. In the AFC, I think 1 through 5 is up for grabs in terms of the positioning, but 1 through 5 is locked in terms of the teams. Of course, Denver, Kansas City, the winner of that division will probably be your 1 seed, depending on how New England finishes out the season. But one of those 2 teams is going to win that division and be one of your top 2 seeds in the AFC. Then the loser will be the 5th seed in the AFC playoffs. You look at New England in the AFC East, they're going to win that division. As far as wild card is concerned, that 6th seed, we'll get to that in a second, but New England is going to be your division winner from the East. From the North, your division winner is probably going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. It's not etched in stone quite yet. Cincinnati has been up and down, especially on the road, so really don't want to pencil them in quite yet, but they look like they're going to be the team coming out of the North as the division winner. So go ahead and pencil them in if you like, but make sure you write in pencil. Don't write in pen. The only teams you can write in pen are going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots. Everybody else, just write them in pencil. Write them light just in case you got to erase. But I feel like out of the North, you could probably go ahead and pencil in Cincinnati. Again, write it light. And in the South, go ahead and pencil in the Indianapolis Colts. Again, write it light just in case they have a total meltdown. But in both of those divisions, I don't see any teams behind those guys that are willing to come up and take that division from them, especially in the South. That's a bad division. The only other team worth even mentioning in the South, in the AFC, is, of course, the Tennessee Titans. So you pretty much know what's going on in the AFC playoff picture. Now, that 6th seed, man, that thing is wide open. And it's anybody's guess as to who will take that 6th and final position in the AFC playoffs. There are about 8 or 9 teams that are between 5 and 6 and 4 and 7 jockeying for that 6th and final playoff slot in the AFC. I mean, you got the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Titans, the Ravens, the Steelers. I mean, even the Browns are in there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and there are so many teams. But realistically, you could shrink that list down to probably about, and the Chargers, don't forget about San Diego either. But you could realistically shrink that list to about 4 teams that realistically are probably going to give it a go to make it into the postseason. Maybe 5. Because those 4 and 7 teams, they're 4 and 7 for a reason. Don't really think they're going to do much. But you look at the Chargers, the Ravens, the Steelers, you look at the Titans, those and the Dolphins, those are the teams you probably need to focus in on looking to get that last final spot in the AFC. But a lot of games happened over the weekend that had huge, playoff ramifications. That Raiders-Titans game, the winner of that game was going to be your 6th seed as of Sunday. Titans pulled it out on the road against the Raiders, so now they're your 6th seed as it stands right now. But the Ravens, the Steelers, they'll have something to say about that. Big wins by both of those teams on Sunday. And you also look at another team that's right there, San Diego. What a huge win on the road against Kansas City. That puts them right square in the middle of that mix as well. Don't forget about the Dolphins. They had a tough loss against Carolina at home, but that's a 5 and 6 team that's extremely dangerous. Jets are right there in the mix at 5 and 6, but again, I just don't buy the Jets as a good enough football team. They've got a good enough defense. I just don't think their offense is good enough to help them get where they want to go. And so there are a lot of teams that did some things to help improve their stock this weekend. You look at the NFC playoff picture, and much like the AFC, I think 1 through 5 is essentially locked in terms of the teams. The seeding hasn't been decided yet, but I mean, I think you can go ahead and lock in at least 4. I can't say 5 definitively. You can lock in 4 of the teams because that NFC East is anybody's game. I mean, it's anybody's guess as to who's going to come out of that division. But you look at the NFC South, much like the AFC West, whoever doesn't win that division will be your 5 seed in the NFC playoffs. So whether it's New Orleans or Carolina, that's going to be, and they'll probably be the 2 seed behind Seattle, who's going to come out of the West. Also look for the 49ers to come out of the West as well. So you could have 2 out of the South, 2 out of the West, and then 1 from everybody else. Who knows? The 49ers could continue to struggle, and Arizona could be that other team out of the West, or you could get 3 teams out of the West, Seattle, San Francisco, Arizona, and only get 1 team out of the South and the East and the North. Who knows what could happen? I mean, Carolina could drop 3 out of their final 4 games, and Arizona could continue to be hot and make it in. You just don't know. So you know what? I take that back. The NFC is just a big cloud of confusion right now. I mean, there's so many teams playing better football than in the AFC. I mean, the AFC, it's essentially cut and dry, and then that 6th seed is up for grabs. In the NFC, there's so many teams over 500 playing good football. Arizona, San Francisco, Dallas is starting to come along. So is Philadelphia, both of them at 6-5. You got 2 7-4 teams in the West, in San Francisco and Arizona, and they're trailing the 10-1 Seattle Seahawks. You got in the North, you got the 6-5 Bears and 6-5 Lions. Those teams are on the downward trend, however, as they both lost on Sunday. On the upward trend, you look at the NFC East and the Cowboys and the Eagles both win. Eagles won the week before their bye, and they're at 6-5. Saw the Cowboys winning at New York against the Giants. They're at 6-5. You also look at the NFC South, and you've got a couple of teams jockeying for position there. Again, you got 2 teams in the race: Saints at 9-2, Panthers at 8-3. So you see some things going on there as well. So this thing is wide open. You just don't know if the Panthers are going to be able to hold off the likes of the 49ers and the Cardinals. You don't know if 2 NFC East teams try to reach up and bite, the NFC West teams that are trying to get in behind Seattle. It's just anybody's guess as to what's going to unfold. So it's much more entertaining in the NFC right now because they're actually good teams playing football. I mean, after the 5 in the AFC, nobody else in that conference is over 500. After the 5 teams, Chiefs, Broncos, Patriots, Bengals, and Colts, nobody else in that conference is over 500. Versus the NFC, where everybody's jockeying for position. Everybody's over 500. And there are no sub 500 teams looking to get in the NFC. Either you're 6-5 or better in the NFC if you want to get in, and that's the way it should be. Shouldn't be any, 5-6 teams, 4-7 teams still alive. If you want to make it to the show, you want a ticket to the dance, you want a seat at the table, you need to earn your way in by winning football games, not backing your way in by having other teams stink just like you're stinking and you be able to back your way into the postseason. I don't think that's the way it should go. So in the NFC, I really like the way that picture is rounding up because you got 10-1 Seattle, you have 9-2 New Orleans, 8-3 Carolina, 7-4 Arizona, 7-4 San Francisco, 6-5 Dallas, 6-5 Philadelphia, and then everybody else is left to fend for themselves. Of course, you got 6-5 Detroit and 6-5 Chicago, and then 5-1 Green Bay. So that NFC picture looks really good because everybody is at or above 500. Meanwhile, in the AFC, it's just the 5 that are up above 500, and then the rest of the group is just hovering around 500, but they're all under at 5-6 or 4-7, and so that's not a good look. If you want that last playoff berth in the AFC, step your game up, have a winning stretch to finish out the season, finish up at 9-7 or 10-6, and earn your right to go to the postseason. Don't back your way in at 8-8. That's going to be horrendous if somebody gets in at 8-8, but it looks really realistic in the AFC because of how bad the conference itself has been. So That's going to do it for this Tuesday edition of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. It's a touchdown. Hey, don't you try to run away from me without the touchdown. Let's tack on this quick extra point. I just broke down a lot of the playoff scenarios and the way that the playoff picture is unfolding in both conferences. It's going to be interesting to see how these conferences shake out. Again, I'm going to release a conference video and then some divisional videos as well to break down these divisions. There's some scary teams. Again, even the teams that are out of it are going to impact these races down the stretch. If you're a team in the AFC and you're looking to try to get in, I don't want to see Buffalo in Buffalo. I don't want to see Buffalo in Buffalo. I don't. That's a dangerous team at home. If you're in the NFC, just like the Bills, I don't want to see the St. Louis Rams. I don't want to see them home or away. That's a scary and dangerous team, is the St. Louis Rams. They get after the quarterback. They have an electrifying return man in Tavon Austin. This offense is running the football. They're scoring points. I don't want to see the Rams. I don't want to see the Bills. I don't want to see the Rams. These are teams that can wreck your playoff situation. And so you got to look out. But I'll be releasing some videos on the playoff picture in both conferences, as well as some divisional video on the outlooks of all of these divisions and how they'll shape out in their remaining schedules and yada, yada, yada. So that'll be coming to you here shortly. But this week is so filled with a lot of different things. It's Thanksgiving. You probably might go Black Friday shopping. There's a lot to go through. And so I won't keep you here long, and I won't be around bothering you all week. I'll allow you to enjoy your festivities as I will. And so I'll see you on Wednesday. Come back and join me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Thank you for joining me. Come back, join me on Wednesday as I give you my Pick'em Weekly Soul Survivor. I'm going to get all that stuff out of the way so that I don't have to bother you for the rest of the week. So I'll see you on Wednesday when I conclude the week of In the Lab Room and allow you to enjoy your turkey, your family, your friends, your faith, and of course, your football. See you then. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.
In the Lab Room.